Well, tonight on the program, we shall be talking about the issues of security and the possibility of violence ahead of the next month exercise. Some of these issues worry politicians and some other stakeholders. Today, the national chairman of the Young Progressives Party, Mr. Bishop Amakari, is calling on the federal government to stop playing to the gallery in matters of urgent national security by raising false alarm instead of acting on intelligence reports.
The recent allegation by the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, that the opposition is mobilizing armed bandits and Boko Haram insurgents to perpetrate massive acts of violence across the country during the general election is, to say the least mischievous, especially coming from a ruling party still acting as an opposition. And in fact, it's a call to worry. And I will also want to let APC know that if they are mentioning opposition, the YPP is not part of that kind of act. We are a peaceful, driven political party, and we are out to salvage the problem of the Nigerian people. And so we don't intend to go through violence. We want to tell them that in peace and harmony, we are going to take over this country in peace and harmony without any chaos.
Some of those issues being raised regarding security, that on one hand, the former Minister of Defense and Chief of Army Staff, General Theophilus Danjuma, has warned about a plot to rig next month's elections using security agencies by those who cause undemocratic elements. Danjuma says the plan is to cause commotion and unrest that would make some states ungovernable. The retired general was, however, not specific on those who will orchestrate a civil unrest. He was speaking in his home state of Taraba. Well, that coming from a retired general in the army, where does this leave the voters and the security agencies? How can we ensure that there is no bloodshed or destruction of property ahead of these elections? Let's get talking, everyone, on this one. We get some perspectives, on one hand, from politicians and also from security experts. There is a report, a pre-election report, that has predicted early warnings of violence. Already we're seeing situation in Kwara State, in Cross River State, where people are being injured. How can we stem this and do not go back to what happened in 2011, where we had several people killed due to elections? Joining me from our Abuja studio tonight is the national chairman of the Abundant Renewal Party and also the presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Tokwe Fasuwa. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. And I'd like to go straight to the point. From your perspective, from the angle of INEC and security agencies and the report that we are hearing, do you foresee any kind of trouble or violence ahead?
Right. Thank you, Sheon. First of all, on a lighter note, that's a wonderful suit you're wearing. They're double-breasted. We don't see that often, you know. But down to the crux of the matter, I think, again, the security of the country is in the hands of the present government, of our leaders, you know, whether they like it or not. According to the theory by Thomas Hobbes, you know, that the moment the people decided to submit their right to defend themselves to a central government, that's when you started having society being organized into a proper society. Before then, life was brutish, nasty, and short. Unfortunately, that's where Nigeria seems to be, we seem to be toying with that brutish, that nasty, and shortish kind of lifestyle right now. Yesterday, I passed this part in the Zamfara state called Talata Mafara, where, you know, there's a certain place there where everyday people get kidnapped, people get killed, and so on. And up till now, nobody seems to be sure who exactly is doing what. You know, so again, the thing must be put back at the doorstep of the government of the day to do the right thing, to wake up and smell the coffee, to get real intelligence on the ground, you know, and also to act on intelligence. Unfortunately, I think what we've had over the past 3-4 years is a government that decided to really go into a deep slumber. And I think that's why some of us are here to wake them up and let them do the right thing. You know, again, and the kind of statements we've been hearing, as you revealed just now on your show, is quite unbecoming for a government of the day to be alleging that some opposition, I mean, come on, I mean, it's like you're baiting trouble. And I think that's quite irresponsible. But if they are not ready to do the right thing, some of us are here to ensure that Nigeria continues to be peaceful. After all presidential candidates, all political parties were made to sign a peace accord. And I was there, you know, I signed my own part of it and so on. So, I mean, we haven't even gone into the deep of the election, and this is what we are hearing. So people should, we should tell all of these people, all of them are adults, they shouldn't put this country in trouble for the sake of our children, you know, and our grandchildren and our children unborn. They shouldn't put this country into trouble because this is the quest for power. Oh, they haven't actually achieved much with the quest for power in the past 20 years. So this is the time for us to turn the corner.
Look at this, Mr. Fasuwa. And with the benefit of the kind of report we're getting from Yaga Africa, watching the vote, using the watching the vote system, they have come out with this pre-election report. And they did say that they've received reports of vandalism in 61 local government areas across the country. And they are also reporting that there are early warning signs of violence. The APC had come out to say that there are plans to use Boko Haram and other elements to foment trouble. In these, what do you think should be done right away to nip this in the bud?
Right, you know, I mean, we're kind of in a bind, really, because if the government of the day is actually the one issuing the most dire statement and the most confusing statement, you know, the way of what I've studied so far about Boko Haram is that many times, you know, we play into their hands. I mean, after a while, we move away from Boko Haram. We say, oh, we have ISWAP in Nigeria. And then you're wondering, when did all of this happen? You know, and it's like we're a country that's baiting trouble. We just love to put ourselves in trouble. We couldn't handle Boko Haram. Now we're talking about ISWAP. And you hear, I mean, I don't know when the rhetoric changed. You know, so that's the scariest thing right now is that the government of the day, otherwise, one would have said, okay, step up security, make sure that people do the right thing. But then where do we turn to, given the fact that this is what's going on? And again, you know, perhaps there's been more, look, one thing that's become a more recurrent factor in this politics right now is, for example, the idea of tearing people's banners, people's posters, you know, violently and all of that. That is perhaps all over the country. So we can't even be talking of 61 local governments. You know, in Ogun State, where my party has a senatorial candidate, there was a lot of vandalization as well of his car and all of that, you know, which is totally unacceptable. And that's what we've seen so far. Okay. You know, so I think at the end of the day, well, we would have to step up as stakeholders and do the right thing and keep on preaching the right thing and also taking the position that the government is deciding to abdicate, as it were. You know, so I think your kind of show now, talking about this thing, bringing it open to the world, making it open and shouting out and say, guys, this is what's going on in this country. Perhaps we'll be able to get around this. Again, it is poverty that actually leaves a kind of fertile ground for these things to happen. And the poverty have been instituted in this country over the past 20 years of misgovernance, at least. Even, of course, before then, we had the military misgovernance as well. But I think perhaps since the independence of this country, we can only vouch for the First Republic that we were perhaps on our way. But in recent times, in the last 20 years...
Let me quickly put you onto this one. In the report of Watching the Vote, they did also mention that purchase of permanent voter cards are some of the pre-election report that they've released. And retired General Theophilus Danjuma said that using security agencies, that there are plans to rig this election. Are you confident in the security apparatus of the country going into this election?
Right. Again, I wouldn't toe the line of General T.Y. Danjuma because, again, he's one of the elder statesmen in this country. He's one of the strongest security people around. You know, coming out with such statements into the open is you know, it kind of, like I said earlier on, if the government is saying those things, if people like T.Y. Danjuma are saying those things, people like General Obasanjo, where do they want us to run to, right? You know, so again, but however, I think it's also a sign that they're ready to leave the space and let people like us who are a bit younger and come into the fray and drive this country by saying the right words, by inspiring our people. The role of leadership is visioning, all right? Visioning, communication, and taking responsibility. That is VCR. That's the role of leadership. So if you look at the vision that they've bequeathed on us, look at where we are as a people. Look at the kind of communication coming from them. Written, spoken, and body language. Not good enough. Are they taking responsibility? No one is. It should be that if anything happens in this country, even before they know what has happened, they will step up as leaders and say, I take responsibility for what has happened in this country.
Let's take
but now that everybody is actually saying a lot of scary things, where do we run to? So again, the box is back to you, someone like you, Shehu, someone like me, and we have to actually communicate the right things for this country.
Mr. Fasua, we'll take a moment on the program because we need to look at another angle. We have a security expert, a former British police officer in Nigeria, who is in Abuja studio. It will also give us another perspective to all of this, perhaps what we need to be doing to ensure that we do not fall into the trap of the past. I'll show you some statistics that are very, very critical for the nearest future. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.